This is my job. I will not quit it. Pulled me out the depths when I thought that I was finished. Yeah, I question if I could go the distance. That's just the work, regardless of who's listening. Listen. See, I was meant to be a warrior. Fight something amongst me. Leave here victorious. Clashing with kids. Or a venue performing. If I did it for the money, I'd have been a fucking lawyer. Concrete, vagabond, band telling stories. I'm about to go to realizing I'm not important. See, life's a beautiful struggle. I record it. Hope it helps you maneuvering through yours. That's why we stay in the lab at night. I've been staring into this path for over half of my life. A true artist will be satisfied. So I guess that's the sacrifice. And I said, make the money, don't let the money make you.
Hello, Keller Williams Mountains to Sound, Keller Williams Puget Sound, and everyone from the Thrive Forward community. My name is Cole Finley, and I am the CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Mountains to Sound in Kent. And I'm so happy you are with us today. We have a fantastic webinar planned for you with some really incredible guests. But let's start out for just a second with some intention around our experience right now and the things that we are going through together. About right now, it's been interesting because I've had several conversations over the past weekend with quite a few agents, and kind of the settling in to our kind of new normal is happening. People are starting to get into routine again. People are starting to get into a rhythm again. And it now is our real opportunity to now take control of everything that we're doing. You know, the interesting thing right now is that in this new normal, this is business as usual in a very unusual way, right? And the first thing foremost that we really have to think about is how are we caring for one another? How are we caring for the people that mean the most to us? How are we caring for our clients? And I had a really interesting experience this weekend. You know, I think all of us on the executive leadership team have been very, very, very busy. I'm sure you all have too, but if you quite imagine kind of us working in a whole new way. And I hadn't realized just how much I was really missing people until I went to a wonderful virtual house concert that Carmen Holtman from our Puget Sound office put together. By the way, Carmen, thank you so much. That was so wonderful. And I really felt that humanity being a part of that. And I just went, you know what, I need more of that. When we're staying home and we're staying in place, it doesn't mean we have to stay away from each other. And we're finding so many wonderful new ways to really be able to connect with one another and be, you know, be that connection to the world. You know, it's interesting, we had an accountability group meeting, and Andrea Downs was on it this morning, and she was really saying how much that she more and more is leaning into Zoom as a point of connection, and I couldn't agree with her more. So I'm going to encourage you guys to really do that. You know, what we have to understand that this, more than anything, is a time of service. You know, especially with our clients, you know, when we come from service, and we come from connection and caring, the business will come from that. Right now, our opportunity really comes in connecting with each other, really reaching out to each other. And I have heard so many wonderful examples of people reaching out and caring for each other, and really kind of making that on purpose. So I'm going to encourage every single one of you, if you can this week, reach out to another one of an agent that you know. And it doesn't make any difference if they're from our office or if they're in the Thrive community or if it's outside. Reach out to somebody and say, hey, I care about you. I just want to see how you're doing. I wanted to make sure that we're just staying connected. Take the time to do that. And I think it's going to be so, so important to keep our humanity going. Okay. So I'm excited because as we talk about humanity, that really takes me into our culture here at Keller Williams Mountain Sound, Keller Williams Puget Sound, as well as our Thrive community. So I'm going to welcome in the culture community chairperson from Keller Williams Mountains to Sound, Jennifer Thompson. Hey, Jennifer, come on in and say hi, will ya?
I will attempt. There we go. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
It is so good to see you. And I'm really seeing you. You and I've had a lot of opportunities to kind of have conversations with each other like this over the past few weeks, really, because we started learning to do Zoom and all that kind of stuff together about 3 weeks ago. Isn't that right?
That's right, yeah.
I love it. Well, you have been the communication and connection maven. You and Jackie Parker from our Puget Sound office, I think, have just done an amazing effort. And you have a lot of things going on. I thought what I could go ahead and do, there's a few things that that you and the culture community are really driving, and I think they're fantastic. So I thought I'd go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here. And let's see if we can go over to this. Okay, so can you start us off with telling us all about Spirit Week? What is Spirit Week?
So Spirit Week is a fun way to interact amongst each other, amongst ourselves in the offices. And I love that we came up with what is your favorite song or playlist that's your go-to right now. And already this morning, there's a lot of great songs and videos put up. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I just need a good song to get me motivated. Yeah. Sometimes it's, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, play along, put your song up there, put the video. I love Wacky Hair Wednesday. I don't know about y'all, but I'm starting to look at my hat collection. I need a haircut. I need my nails done. I need some face threading. So Wacky Hair Wednesday, be creative, but show some spirit. So just go through the list. I know we're all busy. I know it can be an intense time, but just take a minute and have some fun with your colleagues and be creative. So that's what we came up with this week for Spirit Week. And then make sure you use the hashtag KW Spirit Week and get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, you can post those on our KWMTS office page, the KWPS internet page, as well as the Thrive Forward community. By the way, the hashtag might be Thrive Forward Fun. If we're over on the Thrive Forward page, so hashtag Thrive Forward Fun. I think that'd be kind of fun to do it that way. By the way, I got to tell you, so I was on Facebook this weekend, and one of the posts, someone said, "Where's the first place that you're going to go after all this is opened up?" And so many women chimed in, and they said the nail salon.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It was one of them. It was like, you just don't realize just what level of vanity you have until you're.
I've got all the levels.
That's it. Okay, now we have some other really cool things that are going on. So let's take a look at that. First of all, Cards for Seniors. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so Lindsay Dwyer was really instrumental in getting us these two facilities to be sending letters to residents there. And this really impacts me. I don't have any seniors in my life. And I know how I need my connection with people, and I can't imagine how they feel. And so I have been sending letters to them. I use the amcards.com, and I've been adding in word searches and Sudoku to the top part of my card, and then just putting a personal message. Oh, that's when I was handwriting the cards and was like, okay, I'm going to get carpal tunnel here. So I moved over to amcards. And this is just a base, like, who am I? Why are they getting a letter from me? I also didn't want to freak out their relatives if someday they went through their things, like, who's this person? It was just simply who I was, and I wanted to send a good old-fashioned card to let them know someone was thinking of them. Nothing about real estate. On the back, I did keep a picture of myself, so they had a clue of how to find me if there was like, who are you? Now, this week for Easter, I switched it up and I did a Happy Easter card, and then I did, instead of some activities for you, I did a Happy Easter word search. I don't know if they hate words or what, but I figured give them some fun and let them know somebody's thinking about them. I've been doing cards also for friends and clients, and I cannot tell you the engagement. I got a text message at 11:30 at night saying, "Oh my gosh, you put me in tears." And it was just a simple message. "You've got a lot on your plate. I'm thinking about you. You matter." That's it.
I love it. I love it.
So that's what we're doing with that. So the addresses are on our Facebook pages, tells you exactly how to address them. And even if you could just send a couple cards just to cheer somebody up. If you have little kids and you can throw in some artwork, great. If you don't want to, it's okay too. So
I love it. I love it. Okay, now, and by the way, I love how you're saying just even your friends, engagement like this is really important. Just note cards in general is a beautiful thing. It's kind of gone by the wayside. So I like how you're saying that. Okay, now let's move on. This is cool. So the Paper the Ward project. Tell us about this.
So I am still on my old neighborhood Facebook page, and just watching the news stories and the medical personnel, you know, from the custodians to the nurses to the doctors, they are so on the front lines. And some of the stories are just incredibly heartbreaking. And so one of the guys from my old neighborhood, he's the manager of the emergency room at Valley, and he is Brian Hennenkamp. And he put out a call this weekend saying, "Help us put encouraging post-it notes and line the walls of the emergency room." And so I was like, what do you say in a post-it note? Because I'm a wordy girl, shocker. So I was like, okay, thank you, you are appreciated. And then I did a cute little heart, Valley Medical Center. And I have the address, we've got the address of where to send them. And if, again, another easy thing, take 5 minutes. If anybody's got the red notes at home, how great to have the KW red notes plastered along the walls of Valley Medical. So just another way, maybe somebody will look up and see your note and be able to keep going, because they are, you know, they're running on fumes, and we need them to not be on fumes. We need them, they need encouragement. So
I love that. And then along those lines, you actually talked about Dinner for the Emergency Room Heroes. So tell us a little bit about that as well. It's kind of all in this same vein, correct?
Yeah. So I, again, was stalking this old neighbor's Facebook area, and he showed pictures of the staff getting Chick-fil-A. I don't know about you, but Chick-fil-A sounds really good right now. And then I thought, wait a second, who did this? So I read further, and it was a local church in the area that donated the food. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, how do I find out more information? So if some of us wanted to get together, all the information is there right now on your screen with the number and the email address. Find out, you know, how much is it? I have no idea. Is it $200? Is it $50? I don't know, but just another way of blessing these people that are giving everything they have to help out. So yeah,
great. And we'll make sure all this contact information is on our Facebook pages as well. So stay tuned for that after the meeting. We'll make sure those get up for everybody. I tell you what, Jennifer, your culture communities in both our offices it's alive and well.
It is.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Well, I got to say thank you so much, Jennifer, for you and for everything you're doing. I know that you and everybody on your community has such a big heart, and we really appreciate you, lady.
Appreciate you too. Thank you.
You betcha. You betcha. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and then welcome in Mr. John Hanson. John, why don't you come on in here? Hey, John.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You?
I'm good. I'm good. It's so weird on Mondays we don't do our normal compliance corner on Mondays because we're in here, so I get to see a lot later on Monday. So it's good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. You too.
So we have a few things, and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. We have a few things we want to go through today, and basically what those things are, the do's and don'ts of what we can do. So the first and foremost thing is to understand that stay home, stay healthy is in effect through May 4th. So here's some things that we can talk about. And John, maybe we just kind of go through these do's first. So do show property buyers by appointment only, social distancing, do arrange for inspections and appraisals. You do write contracts, take listings, present offers. You do arrange for staging, destaging. You do arrange for photography and arrange for repairs. Talk to us more about our dues, John. What are the things we really can do?
Okay, well, first let me just say that, you know, when I think of the people who are working in these medical clinics and people who are working in vital services, for example, grocery stores, providing food, all the things they're doing, I'm always amazed at what care they take to protect themselves, to protect others. And so we are thrown into the same category, providing vital services with certain exceptions. And so those exceptions are what we have to be aware of. We've got to protect ourselves, just like the medical people, just like the grocery store people. We've got to protect ourselves and we've got to protect others. And so one of the dues that's not up there that I want to remind you of, I think we were going to have a compliance corner on this, but I don't think we did. And that is that if you find that you have the coronavirus,
Yeah.
then there's protocols you have to take. And so just to summarize really quickly, you do want to get a hold of me immediately, please, because there's some steps we want to take to make sure that we notify, not that you have the coronavirus, but we need to notify owners of homes where you've been that someone from our office has been in their home.
And John, we actually did a compliance corner on this last Friday. So we do have that video available if people want to deep dive into that as well.
We do, good. Okay, good. That shows you how good my memory is. So, so these dues are by due. That's really a privilege permission thing. We got to be super careful about those activities. So, for example, if to show properties, yes, do show properties, but first try to figure if there's a way you can do it virtually. If all else fails and you have to go do it, then you have to do it. The other activities are activities that you don't have to necessarily be there for. So one of the clarifications I did this week was I sent a question to the legal hotline, and someone sent me back the answer. And the question I had was, for inspections, for appraisals, does the agent have to be there, or would they be violating Northwest MLS rules if they're not there and present? And her response was that if you use your key box, then you do have to stay there and you've got to protect that client's property. Again, following the rules of no more than 2 people in the house at a time. But if you don't use your key box, you don't have to, or key, I should say, use your key, then you don't have to be there. So you can make arrangements from your quarantined selves in your homes to have the owner themselves open the door for the inspector or for the appraiser. But you should try to use every means possible to not have to go outside. And so those dues there are with a huge caveat, which is to please, if you can do it from home, do it from home, do everything you can from quarantine. Only when something comes up where you can't possibly do it from home should you be leaving.
Great question, or great statements there. So we got a question from Jackie Parker, and she asks this question: when representing the seller and reviewing offers, are we allowed to ask what the buyers do for work?
I'm sorry, what are we allowed to ask?
Yeah, when representing the seller and reviewing offers, are we allowed to ask what the buyers do for work?
I believe that we should not be doing that. I believe that that's, you know, the income is what matters, and it doesn't matter what they do for work. So if they volunteer it, that's one thing. If we're representing the buyer and we think that that's going to be, you know, a positive for our buyer, and our buyer wants to have that revealed and asks us to, then yeah, we can, you know, under those circumstances. But otherwise, we should be talking about income only.
Okay, Gotcha. All right. Well, let's go over to our don't section. By the way, put up temporary for sale signs. No digging is another one that you can do, right? But can't dig. Am I correct on that, John?
Yeah, we shouldn't be digging. We shouldn't be putting in posts. I mean, if you have one of those wire signs, temporary type signs, those are fine to stick in the ground when you're putting the lockbox on the house or whatever. But we want to, the post hole digging has still not technically been on the list approved of things that we can do. So whenever we can avoid it, we should avoid it.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's go into our don'ts then. Let's start off with, and I'll just read this list out again. Set out flyers, leave business cards, send out signpost installations, do physical prospecting, or do in-person open houses. Tell us more about that, John.
Okay. So this virus that is so contagious, we want to be very careful to not pass things around that, could have the virus on them, not necessarily from you, but it could be from you, and you don't even know yet, or it could be from somebody else. It's passed to you, then passed to someone else. So we don't want to be passing things around like flyers, like business cards. So the Northwest MLS has sent out a memo that we should not be putting out business cards. Okay, and that and one of the don'ts that has been emphasized has been open houses. So we want to make sure we're not doing open houses. Virtual open houses, absolutely. Anything we can do virtually, we should be doing that and not being in a position where we are having to put ourselves in contact with others or others in contact physically with us. And I'm looking at your list, which is my list.
Which is physical prospecting. What did that mean?
Yeah. So I use the word prospecting, and I know that we like to use the word lead generation. So when we're doing lead generation, we're trying to build relationships with people, and to physically do that right now is not going to build a relationship. It's going to destroy the relationship. Mm-hmm. So do not be physically going out and passing things around door to door. So many negatives that come from that. Do not do that. Do everything virtually online that you can possibly do to keep those relationships strong and moving forward without having to expose anyone to the coronavirus or yourself.
Very, very good.
And that includes, Cole, that includes within our own offices. The office in Kent, the office in Federal Way. We shouldn't be going into the offices right now because we could be carrying that virus and then taking it into the office and exposing someone to the virus, touching things that someone else is going to later touch. We want to honor this order from the governor, which is for the protection and safety of all the citizens of Washington as best as we possibly can, not look for excuses or reasons how we can break it. We want to make sure that we are honoring it, and that means stay out of the office unless you absolutely have to go in. And if you absolutely do have to go in, then you would probably want to, first of all, call the staff person who's in the office to make sure they know you're coming. And then when you come in, stay in the front and don't touch anything. Just go in. You can call out the name of who you're meeting there and get it done. But we shouldn't be meeting clients in the office. We shouldn't be utilizing the office at this time.
I think that's important to say. And here's something to understand. We have some agents with the biggest hearts on the planet, and they are totally understanding that we do have some essential personnel in our office. Basically, that is Gwen and Emily and Eva. Please, guys, I know that your hearts are in the right place, but please don't be dropping off flowers or candy or anything that really goes against the spirit of the law. Am I right on that, John?
Yes, if it is dark chocolate, you can leave it for me and I'll pick it up later. Just kidding.
Okay.
We don't want to be doing this.
Point taken. That's it. But yeah, here's what I would tell you to do. Send them a wonderful video text, or send them, you know, an email that really kind of pours your heart out. Let's do it in the spirit of the way we can do it, but let's make sure that we're taking care of everybody as much as possible. The biggest thing to understand and remember, if it can be done from home, it must be done from home. All right, John, thank you so much once again for all of your wonderful wisdom. And I know that you are working pretty much round the clock right now, and certainly 7 days a week with a lot of the questions that you have coming on. So we certainly appreciate everything that you are doing.
A pleasure. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so now I am so excited to bring on our guest for today, and we have two wonderful gentlemen who are here to really bring about a lot of clarity regarding the wonderful new I'm leaving words, things that our agents can use financially in the system. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Bill Clarke to come on in. Bill, if you can come join us, that'd be great. And let's go ahead and bring on Zack Rubin-McCarry as well. Hi guys, how are you? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great, thank you so much. Bill, I'm going to let you kind of take it from here. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell us all about who you are and what we're about to learn today.
Great. Hey, is my audio okay? Can you hear my audio okay?
I can hear you just great. Can everybody hear Bill okay?
Great. Well, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Bill Clarke, and I work for Washington Realtors in Olympia. So I'm one of your lobbyists, and I'm an attorney that works on various issues, primarily in the state legislature. And what that means the last few weeks has been, we've been very busy working on COVID-19 and the real estate issues that people will be able to work on or not. I'm going to adjust my headphones. Does that sound okay? That's better for me. Obviously, I appreciate John's legal update on the kind of do's and don'ts, what we worked on for Washington Realtors.
Hey, Bill.
Yep.
Just 2 seconds. When you pull that away, I think your microphone went away with it, so you got real distant.
I'm going to switch off the headphones. Is that okay?
That's perfect. Great. Thanks.
Great. Let's do that. So, you know, for Washington Realtors, we worked quite a number of days with the governor's office and some of the agencies that regulate real estate, Department of Financial Institutions, Department of Licensing, to obtain that memo, which the governor's office issued, that clarified the kinds of things that you can do in real estate brokerage, including affiliated services like home inspections, appraisals, and things like that. So I really appreciate John's, you know, concept that if it can be done from home, it must be done from home. Understanding that what we were able to get agreement through the governor's office was, you know, a very narrow kind of specific set of real estate services to keep the wheels turning, hopefully for no more than a few more weeks, and we'll see how the order goes into the early summer months. But that's kind of what we've been working on. I work on state issues. Zack works on federal issues for the National Association of Realtors. And so, you know, what we're going to go through kind of the resources available to realtors, both on the kind of business side and also on the personal side, to get you through these next few months, right? It's a really extraordinary time. Our industry has really unique challenges, in part because of our business structure and the fact that you folks are independent contractors. You're not in the traditional employment world. Many of you are self-employed, or your S corporations have different business structures. And so one of the things that Zack's been super busy with in Washington, D.C. with the full National Association of Realtors team is figuring out how do all these benefit programs, whether they're small business loan programs or personal assistance programs, apply to independent contractors. Some of those will be implemented at the state level. Some will be implemented at the federal level. So that's kind of what we're going through today.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Okay. So, Zack, tell us a little bit more about you, and then you just let me know when we're ready to go through our presentation here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate y'all having me today. As Bill mentioned, I work with the National Association of Realtors. I'm on our political team, and my main job is to be a resource to a group of 9 states, one of which is Washington. And I'll say I've been on the phone with your state staff regularly. I mean, they've been doing a great job on keeping on top of this stuff. So it's been a really collaborative experience, and they've been really, really easy to work with, and definitely a lot of other states are looking at what they've been doing as a great example of what to do. So definitely hats off to them. I can go ahead and get started on the slides. I can couple things I'll tell you. The first thing is, as Bill mentioned, this is very fluid. I've been on a few calls today. I know, for example, the SBA, or the Small Business Administration, announced regulations at 4 o'clock on Friday, and they're expecting banks to implement those today. So these are the types of timelines that we're working with. So a few things to just kind of keep in the back of your head as I'm talking through these things. One, as Cole just went to this slide, these are the best resources. We are updating these frequently asked question documents regularly. The other thing I'll direct you to as well is nar.realtor/coronavirus is our homepage, and we have a ton of resources on there. Earlier you guys mentioned virtual home tours and that sort of things. One of our national leaders, Mabel Guzman, she's actually been doing these for years because she deals with a lot of investors, and she actually did a how-to video, best practices video, which is on there, and it's great. We actually announced last week, our CEO has been leading the charge on this, a new thing called Right Tools Right Now, and we're making a ton of NAR resources free or at cost across the board to make sure our members are getting a lot of value and opportunity to take advantage of these things at a tough time. And the other thing included there for NAR members is we are extending 2 months of telehealth to our membership. So, with all the social distancing guidelines and everything, we think that'll be a really valuable thing for our members. With that, I guess we can hop to the next slide. So kind of the first thing, we've been advocating on a whole lot of different issues. I think we're registered to talk about 30, lobby on 30 different issues with the federal government. The first one that we kind of touched base on with everybody up on Capitol Hill about was the essential services. Now, each state's kind of handling this differently, but nationally we got residential and commercial real estate settlement services added to the main list. And why that's important is because states use that to help kind of determine how they handle it. Ultimately, it is up to them. But that's something we've been working on closely. If you want to hop to the next slide. So we'll just kind of hop right into it. For individuals, there's a number of things you can do. There are relief checks of up to $1,200 available for taxpayers. And $500 for each additional kid under the age of 17. Those are available to people who make up to $75,000 a year, and it starts fading out for every, regularly, I believe it's $5 for every $100 of income you make. It starts fading out all the way up to $100,000 a year in adjusted gross income. And you just double those if you're filing jointly with a spouse. There are a number of handy calculators online that are probably easiest to use for your given situation or talking to your tax professional about this.
Hey, Zach, there's a quick question on this one just came up. Sorry to interrupt you there. It says, do people with adult dependents receive anything for those dependents?
That's a great question. To my knowledge, no. I know we've gotten some questions about it, and obviously each situation being a little bit different. That's a great question. My email's on the last slide. If you have more information to provide, like if there's other extenuating circumstances or that sort of thing, I'm happy to bring it up with our policy team. The big theme here, and I want to let you all know, we're asking questions as we get them. So if there's some unique quirk to how these things are being implemented in your communities and your markets, we want to know, because we want to make sure to bring this up, because you all probably aren't alone in getting that. So it's a great question. The other thing is, for taxpayers with IRAs, you are able to now withdraw up to $100,000 with no early withdrawal penalty. There are some stipulations with that. You know, you have to be kind of impacted by the coronavirus. We aren't exactly sure what that guideline means, but given the nature of how these things were passed, we do expect that will be kind of a broad look if they do decide to kind of dig in on those things. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing we've gotten a lot of questions about, and I just want to make sure you all know, and I say on every call I'm on, the IRS is not going to call you for bank information or your social security number. So if they do that and they're saying they're with the SBA, or they're trying to provide a loan to you or something like that, it's a scam. Please do not do it. A lot of our members across the country have been getting these sorts of calls, and unfortunately, in these sorts of situations, in crises, a lot of people try and take advantage of folks in this. So, we just want to make sure you're aware of that going on. The other thing, as a lot of you have probably heard, taxes have been delayed. Filing taxes, the due date being July 15th, 2020. So you do have a little bit of extra leeway there. If you want to go to the next slide. So some other homeowner renter information. So anybody with a government-backed loan can request up to 360 days of payment forbearance without a penalty. Now, I have gotten questions about some of the private loans, or somebody financed outside of those. Those are up to the individual provider of those loans on how they want to handle those arrangements. So that, in case you're hearing multiple things from your clients, that's usually where the delineation is. If they have a government-backed mortgage, those folks are much more able to implement the government's direction on these things. Also, for renters in properties with those loans, they can also request relief. I will also say landlords who have government loans also can request forbearance. But with all of these provisions, make sure you request them and try and work out an agreement, because if you don't request them, they'll expect things to go on as usual. See a question pop up.
No, we got that one already, so we're good there.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are the big things. And we do know, I will say, we have heard from a lot of landlords. We're working very hard with the administration to try and provide some relief there, because we realize, especially a lot of the things states are doing, could provide some challenges for landlords and how their businesses are going to operate. So that's something we're definitely aware of, and we've sent a number of letters to the administration. We plan on pushing harder on that as well. If you want to hop to the next slide.
Yeah, there actually was a couple of questions here, so let me stop you there for just a second, Zach. Okay, so the first one is, with forbearance, doesn't all of it need to be paid as soon as that time is up? Yeah,
so the baseline would be a lump sum at the end, but given that's why I said reach out to them about payment, because that's kind of the normal assumption. But again, these are kind of different times. So I would encourage you all to reach out to the lender and work out a payment plan on whatever that is. They've been generally pretty flexible. I think, there have been some challenges in the mortgage market, but actually just this morning, the Fed announced a few things that we think might actually help. So, but that's a great question.
Cole, let me jump in on that one too, because we've gotten a number of calls with the state-regulated banks. And Zach's correct. It's important for people to talk with the lender and understand exactly what the terms of forbearance are. Some of the lenders, well, let's say you defer 3 months of payments, they'll agree to add 3 months to the end of the loan. So let's say you deferred May, June, and July, you start up again normally in August. Other lenders have those 3 months of forbeared payments due after 90 days. So you'd have 4 payments due in that single month. People are handling it differently, so it's important think for folks to have their clients or themselves check in to understand, does it just add to the term of the loan at the end, or is it all paid after that period of forbearance runs out?
And the other thing I'll add, Bill's exactly right. And the other thing I'll add, just, if, you're talking with clients and, they're concerned, part of the reason is the lenders aren't used to dealing with this many issues, like this many people dealing with a forbearance issue at once, right? They're used to kind of a one-off thing, or maybe one market has it. So all of a sudden their cash flow is going to be chopped significantly down. So they're still trying to figure out how they're going to pay their investors and all of that. So that's why we have some optimism with what the Fed announced today and some of the other things that are happening. But, that's kind of why you have to be very specific with people and get those terms figured out, because, they might not end up being how you expect. So I just, encourage you all to be very specific and follow up directly with your lender.
Okay, great.
All right. So one of the other things I kind of mentioned earlier on that, on NAR's coronavirus resource page, we have guidance up there on how to do an open house. I mentioned Mabel Guzman on our leadership team talking about strategies for virtual showings. I watched the video. It's very informative. It's great. And she really knows her stuff. The other thing, just to keep in mind, a lot of the stuff with back to the loans, they haven't changed their credit scoring requirement, but the reserves are only increased if there's no verification of employment. So there have been some questions about, verifying employment. People are able to do that. They made changes to allow some flexibility for it, but again, it is causing some loans to be backed up a bit because it's taking longer for them to verify loans and employment for those things. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Also with the IRS, they're dealing with challenges and income verification and that sort of thing. So if you are hearing that from lenders, that is something we are bringing up with the IRS. Again, with all of these agencies pushing to working remotely, they're trying to figure out the best ways to do this and still, maintain security and make sure that, products are, still, being utilized in the correct way and in a safe manner. So, definitely, as you hear things, let us know. And sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Exactly. I was just going to jump in. So that's one thing to distinguish for folks, Cole, is, on questions like day-to-day as a realtor in the state of Washington, what can I do? What can I not do? Questions come up on, appraisals or home inspections or things like that. Mainly that's going to be driven by the governor's order and state law. So those kind of questions probably are best going to the legal hotline that John mentioned and that Annie Fitzsimmons runs. We're in contact, Annie, Justin Haig, who's legal counsel to the Northwest MLS, myself and others, we're in contact multiple times during the day. When new or unique questions come in, those then are provided through Annie's update or also through what Washington Realtors is doing, which is a daily kind of COVID-19 email that folks should look for that just has, breaking news on anything or new tips, new guidance, things like that.
Yeah, we've been really happy with the level of communication that's been coming out from Washington Realtors. So thanks for that. I know that I'm looking for those every single day and making sure that I'm up to date on that. So thanks for sending those.
Great.
All
Yeah,
right.
and yep, and I was actually just going to tell you to switch the slide. So I alluded to this earlier, but we are, federal loans are allowing oral and email verification of employment. But again, for oral verification, people might not be at their desks, so they have to figure out a way to get a hold of people to do that. So that there is some challenges there. And again, if they can't verify, there's going to be requirement for a little bit higher reserve to just make sure the borrower can pay. The other question and big thing we've been hearing about a lot are appraisals. The government did allow for government-touched mortgages, so Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA loans, to have external appraisals. Now, some banks are a little, some folks are a little not sure about this. So they're working through what this is going to actually look like. So, more to come here, but it is something that some servicers are a little squeamish on. So people are trying to figure out, what the best way to go about this is. And again, a lot of these things, since we're hearing about this last week, problems pop up. As you hear those problems, as I said, please let us know. Actually, the appraisal thing, I heard from somebody, I think it was in Oregon, who reached out, who had a random question. I got that to our policy person, and it was in a letter the next day we were sending to the administration. So these things get used, and it's helpful for us because this stuff's happening very quickly. If you want to jump to the next slide. E-closings, I'm not exactly sure where Washington is on this, but I do know, if I'm not mistaken, Bill, the governor did do a remote online notarization executive order.
Yeah, one of the issues we worked on out of the gate was an executive order allowing remote notarization, and most of the counties have electronic closings. There are a few that don't. In the counties that don't, I know a couple of smaller counties are doing closings by appointment only. They'll have like a 2-hour period per day for pre-scheduled closings to happen in those smaller counties. But I think that's getting better. It's not perfect yet, but we're getting there.
No, that's great. And every county is different in how they're handling it. So I definitely advise, being in touch with those folks and just to see what, the locals are doing, because that will impact things. I want to hope to the next slide. I'm following along on my notes. I just want to make sure. Okay, so there's a few things that are out there in terms of resources. And you may hear in the news a number of acronyms being used. The first one I have listed here is pandemic unemployment benefits, or as it's called in the law, pandemic unemployment.
Assistance.
Assistance. There we go. Thanks, Bill. And that is an add-in overlay by the federal government in providing money to states to get, this is basically like unemployment insurance, directly into people's pockets. So that part of the program, the government is providing money up to $600 extra on top of whatever the state law provides for people who are eligible for this. We have a extensive frequently asked questions just on this program on our website. I know it was updated twice over the weekend, and I believe this morning as well. We're getting a ton of questions on this. So I would direct you all to that as well. The last slide with our contact info also has those links on it as well. Again, since this is kind of a state-specific thing, a lot of it's going to be specific to how Washington handles stuff.
Yeah, and so Zach, where that sits at the state level right now, so the state's unemployment system is administered by the Employment Security Department, which is a state agency, and traditionally unemployment insurance applies only to employees, so the employer funds it, the employee is eligible for it once their employment is terminated. As Zack indicated, under the federal legislation, independent contractors and the self-employed are made eligible for this pandemic unemployment assistance. It'll be implemented at the state level by Employment Security Department. Because their current system is only set up for employer-employee relationships, they're having to modify their website to accept applications from independent contractors and the self-employed. They estimate that the system will be capable of taking those applications from self-employed people by about mid-April. So one of the things that's in the Realtors Daily Update that will refresh every couple days is a link to that site, how people can sign up to get an email notification from the state agency when they can sign up. The other thing to keep in mind is there's no guarantee that you will be eligible for pandemic unemployment benefits because your income still could be above whatever the maximum threshold is going to be. But if you're a top producer and your income's cut in half, you still might be above that level. But if your income really, really suffers and it's going to be really low, then you very well could be eligible. So you'll see the acronym PUA, pandemic unemployment assistance. That's what they're calling it here in Washington.
Good to know on that. Thanks so much for that, Bill.
Yeah, so switching to kind of the business side of things a little bit, there are two programs that they provided additional funds for. The first one, which is actually the third on the list, I'll go first. The SBA Payroll Protection Plan, or PPP. This program, they allocated over $350 billion with a B dollars for this. The goal here is to help businesses keep the light on. So this is one of those programs I was noting that a lot of stuff is coming out. I think they announced some regulations on Friday, and we're supposed to be implementing it today. NAR advocated to make sure independent contractors were included in the eligibility for all these programs. The one thing we're getting some feedback from the field on both of these SBA loans that there's been challenges in filing it, and maybe their bank isn't quite aware of everything. And again, like the legislation passed, I think it was 8 days ago, and over that week, they've had to figure out regulations, who's going to do it. Bankers are trying to get up to speed on how they're going to loan this money. So it's been challenging. So the main advice we've been giving our members is, check our frequently asked questions on our website. There's a lot of great stuff there, but I would also tell you to be patient and be persistent. And when you're talking to people on the phone, ask them what they think you might need available at the end of all of this, right? If there's certain documents, and you can spend that time you're waiting, trying to round up whatever documents you need. And our staffer who actually covers all this, she said, look, I would probably go a little bit further than whatever they suggest, because there could be guidance the next day saying, oh, you need, an extra year worth of documents or whatever. So, just kind of being prepared. It also helps fill the time a little bit, which is also good. The other big question we get for independent contractors is how they should handle, or how businesses should handle payroll. So for the PPP grants, and I'm referencing my notes here because I was just on a call on this, so I want to make sure I get it right. But basically, they're going to be calculating the average payroll, and don't count independent contractors in that. The main reason they should be applying on their own individually, which individuals are able to apply this coming Friday using their 1099s and any additional paperwork that they request for the loan. But again, I'd advise you, be patient. Check our website. We are updating that regularly. We're in touch with them all the time. So that's the big one. And then the other one here is the economic injury disaster loans. Those are available for small businesses during a disaster. Again, you will have to show some sort of economic harm due to this. Again, we expect them to be a little bit broad on this, but just keep that in mind when you're kind of factoring in how these will go. I again, hate to sound like a broken record, but we actually go through each of these programs on our website. You can see what will cover what, and how what makes the most sense for your business. If you want to go to the next one. Great. So here's the key numbers and places to apply. We did with the SBA, if you go to that direct link, that'll get you to the loan application. You can also go to sba.gov, and they have like a ribbon on the top that just says like COVID-19 information here, and that takes you to a landing page with all the stuff they're doing. I would refresh that as well. They're adding stuff all the time. The other thing I will tell you, and I don't mean to toot our own horn, but I have heard from a lot of members the stuff we're getting out on our website and our frequently asked pages is quicker than what their accountants are hearing and quicker than what they're seeing on the government websites. We're in touch with these people daily, so I would definitely direct you there, and I'm happy to provide any additional resources if you reach out to me directly as well. If you want to go to the next slide. Okay, so I alluded to this earlier. these are small businesses are eligible for this. Sole proprietors, independent contractors, gig economy workers are all available or able to use this. I will say there's going to be some quirks that are going to have to get ironed out. Any sort of bill that's this big is going to have some unintended consequences. Also, with people who are independent contractors, in the past, they hadn't been eligible for this sort of work. So the government's trying to figure out, how do you calculate these loans? How do you, what sort of verification do you need for them? How do you, account for this? We have been told that they're going to be based on the average monthly payroll expenses of a business multiplied by 2.5. They're kind of viewing that as the 2.5 month deadline, or not deadline, but kind of to get us a little bit into the future. It is capped at $10 million. But they're intended to cover business expenses during that 8-week period between February 15th and then June 30th. So that's kind of the timeline they're working with on these.
Okay.
The payroll protection plan, a couple other things that they can be used for. Payroll, these are not independent contractors. These are direct employees of whatever your business. Rents, mortgage interest, and utilities. Also, certain parts of it will be forgivable if certain levels of payroll expenses and employee numbers are maintained. Up to 100% of that's being forgiven, which is pretty great. But again, each person's business is going to be different in how they meet those thresholds. Just trying to catch up there we go. As I alluded to this earlier, you can apply for both types of loans, but they have to be put towards separate expenses. In addition, the economic disaster impact loans, there is a $10,000 upfront advance that you can get in either one of those loans. But the amount of that advance will actually be taken out from the amount forgiven on the payroll loan. But that advance aspect of it can be helpful for people who do need some cash to help keep the lights on in the short term. So, those are both potentially good avenues for folks to go. If you want to go to the next slide. So that's our SBA loan page. We're updating that one regularly. I'm not sure our staffer who covers this is sleeping, but she's been doing an incredible job making sure it's up to date and making sure we're getting information out to our members. And then if you want to jump to the next thing. So commercial real estate, we get a lot of questions about this. So there's a few things we've reached out to the administration proactively about a week or two ago. The 1031 like-kind exchange deadline, we've asked for that. We've had a number of major players in Congress send letters asking for this as well. Just in light of everything, it's going to be very hard to meet those deadlines. We also are asking for similar sorts of extensions on qualified opportunity funds and filing the funds and making sure they're invested by a certain time. Again, it's going to be very hard to meet those deadlines under these circumstances. The other thing, for those of you who are property managers, if you're members of IREM or not, IREM actually has a wonderful resource for property managers on their website. I'm happy to share that link with you, Cole, as well, which is great. The other thing, for commercial folks, depending on your business, you might be eligible for SBA loans. Again, it just really depends on your specific situation. We're also going to talk to them about how you might offset some losses, because again, rents, if you're depending on what type of property you're managing, there could be a lot of losses mounting up for this. So we want to make sure these considerations are brought forth with the administration. And then last but not least, I think is our next one. What's next? Again, like I said, we're waiting on guidance on a lot of these programs, but kind of looking forward down the road in the next phase, we're that $2 trillion bill that passed about a week ago, that was the third round or phase 3 of coronavirus response from the government. Looking towards phase 4, Congress is out of session till mid-April. I think the 20th is when they're scheduled to be back. That could change. But a few things we do expect them to look at that we'll be advocating for: remote notarization. Obviously in Washington, there's an executive order, so you all are able to take advantage of that now, which is great. Increasing funds for housing counseling. Buying a house is challenging enough as it is, but in a crisis like this, making sure people have the resources to make good decisions. Also, landlords, I alluded to that earlier. We've been hearing a lot from our landlords. We've been very proactive on making sure they have the resources needed to make it through this. A lot of other issues. Again, if there are things you are hearing, please let us know, because we're starting to reach out and formulate these asks on the Hill. So it's definitely getting that feedback from you all on the ground is important. So with that, if you want head to the last slide. That's my contact information there, my email. Also the general comment email page for Washington Realtors. That's how they're populating their frequently asked questions, as well as those 2 links I mentioned earlier and throughout the presentation. Please just let us know what questions you have, because it really helps inform us as we move forward. And with that,
I was going to say too, Zach, just a couple things that we're working on in Olympia, more on the state level. One is the issue of local government inspections, building permit inspections, certificate of occupancies. Some counties have point of sale, septic system inspection requirements, and trying to get clarity that any of those kind of real estate related property inspections are included within the real estate memo. We think that, we figured out there's something like 15 to 17,000 pending transactions. A number of those are new construction and need a certificate of occupancy. There'll be a lot of septic and, things that are kind of inspector related. They're not home inspections per se. They're more a governmental inspection. We're trying to make sure that those get included. And then the Home Builder Association, general contractors, they're trying to work on some clarification as to some amount of limited residential construction activity that can happen, subject to social distancing, subject to maybe the 2 people on site limit that exists for real estate, to make sure that especially new construction can get finished up. Because again, many of those are currently pending transactions that a lot of our members have. So those are probably the top issues on our list. And then on the more personal side, keeping a close eye on the availability of the pandemic unemployment assistance and how it's available for independent contractors, which again will be, I think, mid-April when that's known.
Great. So why don't we do this, guys? If we've got questions from everybody, if you could put them in the chat section, I'll read them out and then we can get some questions answered for the whole team. And by the way, while people are putting questions in, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and all the work that you're doing on behalf of us. A lot of times, realtors don't realize just how much you guys are fighting for us and fighting for homeowners and buyers out there. So we really do appreciate all the hard work that you're doing.
Yep.
Kathy is asking if I can put that last slide back up. Yes, I can, Kathy. And by the way, all the slides from today, because there's a lot of information out there, we will provide these on our Facebook pages so you guys will have access to it after our team meeting today. All right, what other questions do we have, guys? Looks like you guys did a brilliant job. See if I've got anything in the Q&A.
It looks like I got 2 on mine.
Right.
Someone asked me about self-employed unemployment. I would direct you to the unemployment disaster assistance questionnaire on our website. It'll actually tell you how to go through it, and there's actually links to each individual state website as well on that. So I direct you there. And I will say down the road, hopefully soon, NAR is looking at contracting with some folks to help with all these questions we're getting on the intricacies of these programs. Because I will say, traditionally, this is not a policy area that we've worked on a lot, because traditionally our members had not been eligible for it. But we're working on bringing on some help to make sure that we're able to answer them.
Okay, great.
And I do know on that one question that popped up, that's one issue the state's looking at, is how they will do income verification, like for S corporations and for LLCs. But they are eligible. It just depends on what the income is and the reduction in income that's attributable to COVID-19. But
Okay.
At least according to the federal law, they are eligible. In the Washington Realtors Daily Update, there's a link to employment security, and then they have a specific COVID-19 website where you can sign up for their listserv. So as soon as that sign up is available for independent contractors, you'll get an email directly and can sign up for it. So that's the place people should go. And I can send that to you, Cole, if you want to send that to your folks.
That'd be fantastic. I
Okay.
appreciate that, Bill.
Sure.
One of the questions came up is, where do we sign up for the daily NAR bulletins? I know that you guys have been sending them out to all of the members by email pretty much on a daily basis. Is that right, Bill?
Yeah, so at least Washington Realtors, we have a daily bulletin that we send out, and that goes out to all members. Sometimes people should check in their spam filter for it because it can get picked up that way, but it goes out to all Washington Realtor members every day. And Zach, I don't know what NAR's distribution is. Is it a daily basis or a weekly basis? How are you guys dealing with that?
Yeah, so we have a weekly update. We're also doing occasional what we call breaking news alerts. So, for example, when the big bill passed about a week ago, we did one on that. And we're updating our website regularly. Those are kind of the big communication things we're doing. And obviously all of our social pages are really active on that. But those are the big ones. And actually Vince Malta and our CEO, Bob Goldberg, will be doing a Facebook Live at some point soon to kind of answer questions and all that. But yeah, and then I did get a question about individual contractors, or sorry, S Corp owners. Sorry, I'm just trying to read.
I'll read it out for you. It says, so S Corp owners, do they have loan options or assistance? I may have missed that.
So yeah, sole proprietors can apply for loans. They'll start Friday. And I believe S Corps are included, but I would defer to our frequently asked questions on that, depending, because all of this depends on income levels, how things are set up, and but we have more information on there. I defer there.
Okay, great. Well, guys, once again, thank you so much for being here with us. There have been so many questions on it, and I know you cleared up a lot of things for us. Just a reminder, guys, we will put out all of these slides, so you've got a lot of resources, and make sure that if you've got questions, there are a lot of answers for you with the Washington Association of Realtors, the Seattle-King County Association of Realtors, the Tacoma-Pierce County Association of Realtors, National Association. They're all here for us, and that's what we pay our dues for. So again, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate you very much.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. So let's move on to some really very cool things that we have going on within our wonderful world right now. And I'm going to go back and share my screen again for us. And all right. So first things first, I'm so excited because our Thrive Forward community has been growing gangbusters. So excited about this. We have agents from all over South King County and Pierce County, actually even all over Western Washington, who are joining our Thrive Forward group. This is your place. All of agents who are with Keller Williams, outside of Keller Williams. This is for your place to engage, for us to share ideas, to really get great training, resources, everything that we put on there. And please feel free, if there's something that you're seeing that you want to put out there, that's fantastic. The only thing we really ask is that we take care of each other. We are very respectful of each other, and we put facts first out there. We appreciate that. Okay, so keep joining up. If you're not a member of Thrive Forward, all you have to do is look for the Thrive Forward Facebook group, ask for permission to join, and we can get you all hooked up. All right, appreciate that. Okay, last week we had an amazing event called Eavesdrop on the Top. And I know a bunch of you guys were there, incredible, for the top agents in the whole area. And they basically had a mastermind together. They had a conversation together, and we got to eavesdrop in on that conversation. It was extraordinary. We were just blowing up with all sorts of people saying it was just fantastic. Well, guess what? We're doing it again on Tuesday. This time we have 4 different realtors. So we have Diane Lucas from our KWPS Sound. We have Phil Rodiker from John L. Scott. We have Stuart Stedman from Berkshire Hathaway. And then we have Lori DeVore from Sotheby's International will be joining us. That again will be at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. You do not want to miss that. That is chock full of all sorts of information from these amazing realtors. All right, this is our weekly calendar. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it, with the exception of a couple of things on there. This is posted as an announcement on our Facebook group, so you can take a look at it, and then all the links are in that particular post. A couple things you want to see on this one are going to be the eavesdrop from the top, like I told you. Also, we have a great mastermind coming from Craig Rieger. Craig Rieger is a national coach and speaker. He is donating his time to come talk to all of our agents and hold a mastermind. It's going to be at 3 o'clock on Thursday. We're also going to have another mastermind on Friday, and I'm going to lead this mastermind. It's about powerful communications using Zoom, using social media, using texting. We're really going to talk about what are some of the best practices that if you're a buyer's agent, how do you host an open house? So we're going to mastermind around all those things and share ideas on that. And speaking of Zoom, one thing that has really been very helpful for people is a Zoom training that Andrea Downs is doing at 10 a.m. on Thursdays. So I encourage you to join in on that. Chock full of information and things for you guys. You don't have to attend everything, but at least try to attend some things that are on the calendar. One big day that we've got coming up Tuesday between 8 a.m. and 12:30, the guys from Lab Coat Agents, they are the biggest Facebook group for real estate out there, and they're doing something called Command Your Conversion Digital Experience. And basically what it's going to be are classes pretty much every half an hour. We start off at 8 o'clock, Leverage is the New Hustle. Then 8:40, Leveraging Facebook Live to Grow Your Brand. At 9 o'clock, Command Your Lead Follow-Up. At 9:30, we've got Mastering Opportunities in DocuSign. At 10 a.m., you've got Command with Mega Agent Teams. At 10:30, we have Mastering Your Sphere of Influence with Command. 11 a.m., Command Your Social Media. 11:30, Making the Leap to Command. And at 12 noon, it will be Getting Started with Command for a Smaller Team. For those of you who aren't part of Keller Williams, Mountain Standard, Puget Sound, all of those are about our Command platform. So that wouldn't be something you'd necessarily take part in, but that is definitely available. We will have all of those links posted on our Facebook pages for you. Next thing, so excited about this one, Bold Pivot. This is incredible, guys. The normal cost of Bold is $799. And right now, Bold Pivot, we're going digital on it. And that particular one, instead of being $799, it's $99. You have to do Bold. Here's what we know. The key takeaways from Bold are these. A reset of your mindset, ensuring you can overcome your limiting beliefs. I've got limiting beliefs. You've got limiting beliefs. These are things can hold us back. If we can overcome those things, we can obtain our big goals. Time-saving strategies and techniques to operate leanly and efficiently. access to proven timely scripts. All of us always need more scripts, and the delivery methods that naturally influence people to work with you. We have guidance on how to mine your database and leverage command to run a digital savvy business. Best practices for making calls, setting appointments, and closing contracts right now. Here's the thing, it doesn't matter if you're Keller Williams or not Keller Williams. Bold is for you. It is by far the absolute best mindset, skill set, and lead generation class you will ever go to. On average, people who go to Bold during the Bold experience, they will have 8 pieces of business that they will put together during Bold. And that is a powerful thing to say. So we hope all of you guys will join us for Bold Pivot. Again, on all 3 of our Facebook groups, we do have our KWMTS office page, our KW Puget Sound intranet page, as well as Thrive Forward. We'll have all of those things there for you. Okay. I think we had a lot going today. There's a lot of information. I really appreciate all of you for sticking with it and listening to all this major things. Again, I will have the recording of this entire call up on our Facebook pages within the next couple of hours, as well as having all the slides for here. I hope everybody has a phenomenal rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful team meeting. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your week too. Thanks, everybody. Bye.